Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma, and I am here joined following the bye week with Mr. Brian E. Roach. Must be refreshed, ready to go, and off of IR. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, man, this is 2 in a row.
I know.
It's forget it. You know what? I got to leave. I'll talk.
Exit stage left or right or whatever. Man, we've got a potpourri of things to just chat about following the bye. We took a little bit of a break, so hopefully we don't have like 80 cuts in the show like last time from technical and other difficulties.
I'll contain my potty mouth.
Well, I got that one. I just zapped that, but geez, I had a big boo-boo on a name, and then we had a call cut in and all kinds of crazy stuff. The connection drop. It's just like a comedy of errors. And I think I apologized at the end of the last show. So if you missed it, you didn't miss much. Just, Steelers are 3-3. We're going to talk about what we think about that going forward. Not entirely, because we'll still have a pregame with they're playing somebody on Halloween. Oh, yeah, the Cleveland Browns. That's right. A lot of people, I wonder if they're still on that hype train. They're lucky they got by that game with the Denver Broncos at home Thursday night, short week. A lot of players missing. We'll see who ends up. That's the reason why we can't talk about it right now on a Tuesday, is because there's still a lot of irons in the fire there on the Browns side. So, but I have to address. Let's start this one off, Brian. Charles, who's one of the Browns fans that's always in the YouTube comments. He's like, "Oh, you want to eat?" Oh,
is this the one about a Clowney? Is this the Clowney comment?
Come on, dude. Like, seriously, Jadeveon Clowney, you ready to eat your words on that yet? In what aspect? That he got 2 sacks on Justin Fields in his first ever game, in a game where you guys had like 11 sacks or something ridiculous? I don't know if it was that many, but it was definitely like 7 or 8. It was just like a sack party. Like, and the guy, and on top of that, didn't Clowney miss a game this year already too? We kind of called that one out. So, I mean,
I don't pay attention to Clowney.
This guy was supposed to set the edge, run stopper. Yeah, he's gonna make Myles Garrett better. This and that. We'll get to more of that when we get in there. He's got a couple tackles for loss. He's gotten a quarterback, but he's had 2 games where he hasn't even gotten to the quarterback, and another game where he hasn't played at all. So, let's pump the brakes on that. This guy was number 1 overall on what is like 80th team in the league. I still, it's like. We'll go back to your favorite guy. What has Odell done for anyone lately?
Overrated.
Oh, man. And people, and I have plenty, as everyone knows, the sign down here in the corner, plenty of friends and family from the Browns camp, and they are fed up with that guy. And they're like, can you trade him? I'm like, what? I don't even think you can get some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. Ta-da, it's baseball time. It's baseball's still going.
6th round pick.
Yeah, a 6th-round pick.
Get a 6th-round pick for him.
Yeah.
Right now.
Oh man, that's pretty rough. Yeah, beverage break here, Brian.
Got to get that. Got to get those wings, man.
Yeah, the caffeine. We get them from different sources, but we get them. So, what other stupid stuff has been going on before we get into maybe some of our surprises of the season, offensively and defensively? Let's start with the Mike Tomlin, LSU going to coach college or whatever the hell. It's a bye week, and people just come up with nonsense or things to say. This was just Ryan Clark, like off the cuff, I think, mentioning like, oh, I don't know, one of the only 2 pro coaches he's worked for ever. Like, a little tongue-in-cheek there, but somebody says something like that just because, Ed Ogeron, however you say his name, is leaving LSU after the year, and then all of a sudden now, people are like, oh, Mike Tomlin should go. And there's Steelers fans out there that are like happy. Yeah, get rid of Tomlin. Playoff record, blah, blah, blah. Man, I'm so sick of that narrative. I'm not going to get into all those statistics. There's people who actually believe this garbage. And you take a look at the game that just happened last night. Seahawks and Saints, kind of almost basement dwelling there. Sean Payton got a W there. The Seahawks are in big trouble with Pete Carroll. 2 long tenured coaches. Bill Belichick's having an up and down year with his rookie quarterback. People just don't get it, man. It's like good coaches are hard to come by, and it's like,
can the Jets ever be good?
No, it just won't happen. And now they killed the guy that's going to be their savior. So
yeah.
Oh man,
did they stink? Oh well. Anyway,
yeah.
Think about it. Look, for Steelers fans out there in the world, we could be the Jets.
And that's the thing. It's like, okay, you're not walking all over everyone. Who else is? The teams you accurately predicted at the beginning of the year, one to be undefeated, the Arizona Cardinals, the other one, the Cincinnati Bengals, to lead the AFC North. Out of all
How about them Bungles?
I was not surprised.
Whooped up on, but I mean, they now let's go back. History wise, the Bengals do have a habit of beating the Ravens. So now, butt whooping the Ravens is a little bit different.
Yeah,
but they do have a habit of playing the Ravens tough and beating the Ravens. I'm all for that. I'll be well, I can't actually say this with a straight face. I will support the Cincinnati Bengals in any game against the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, I mean, it's pretty easy.
I almost said I'll be a Bengals fan, but I won't be because I can't be.
No, I can't do that, man.
But hey, man, that loss. That look, that they're better than I thought they were. That's all I'll say.
I'm not going to say that because I think this is where me and the professor.
To be fair, I thought they stunk. So they're better than I thought they were.
I was now to be fair, I did have them as a 6-win team. I may have not had them this far, maybe this far along when it comes to. I had them losing at Baltimore, but then I may have had them with losing both. I thought the AFC North would mostly split everywhere here. I was just pulling this up. I definitely have them with a win on the Jets, and this is going back to like June or July when we looked at this. I have some losses coming up on the calendar for them with Cleveland, the split with the Steelers again, the Raiders, maybe the Chargers at home might be a victory in December. Or San Francisco, so you can like maybe flip those based on the original expectations, a win with Denver, and then they have the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Browns to finish out the season too, which isn't any different than what the Steelers have. It's the same exact teams, just mix and match the weeks on the schedule. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not trying to downplay it at all. I got Jamar Chase on, I think, all of my fantasy teams. People allowed me to draft that guy extremely late because he had the preseason case of the dropsies. And I said, this is too much of a value here. And here you go. He's just smoking everyone. But, yeah, I think the score is more of a surprise, Brian. But I also thought the Ravens were a little bit more, how you say this, like overrated, overhyped.
Yeah, overhyped.
Because they've been pulling this out. Close games, they've had injuries. There's only you can only do that for so long, I think, before I'm not going to say the wheels are going to fall off. Another well-coached team. I know it sucks to say this because, like you just said, I'm like, even if it's getting to a point where this might not be true, but even when the Browns play the Ravens, I'll side with the Browns, and that's because they stole their team. So it's like everybody it's on with the family friend thing once again, I'll side with them on that. It's like there's 3 years there where you took and you pretty much ruined one of the greatest rivalries in football because the Browns have been, let's face it, they've been bad all the way up until these last 2 seasons. They had like 1 or 2 competitive seasons mixed in there over the years since they returned in '99. So I mean, it's with the Ravens, like I said, well-coached team. It does. It's like, ooh, that hurts. It's like saying anything good about the Patriots, too. It's like, I don't really jive with the Patriots. The Cowboys haven't been successful in so long, but the old-school Steelers fans, I could see not liking the Raiders or the Cowboys. I'm totally with you on that. I could sympathize. It's just...
Hate them Cowboys. Hate them.
Doesn't hit my generation as much, so I guess...
Hate them.
Yeah.
Hate them.
I don't care about them. It's pretty much they're in the NFC.
No, hate them.
Yeah. It's fine.
Not as much as I hate the Ravens. No. Nothing. That's the penultimate. So, like, when J.K. Dobbins goes there, that's like... Yeah, dead to me.
Dead to me, man. Just killer. But that's the way I felt, though. I feel that the AFC North teams are all equipped to compete with each other. And I think the Bengals were definitely equipped for Lamar Jackson. It's a comment I made was to somebody else, actually 2 Browns fans. I said, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Cincinnati, they all know who they have to play within their own division. They got to play them twice. So you're trying to win your division first. That's the first building block. And I felt that I didn't think their defense would be as good. I'll admit that much. But I've been a Joe Burrow stan on here. I said Joe Burrow scares me the most out of Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield. Everybody looks at me with crossed eyes, and here you go. You got all the national media now all of a sudden. They remembered what Who Day was. Like, Who Day never went away. You just don't hear it for 20 years because the team hasn't been – they don't win a playoff game or anything else. So, Bengals – I'm going to say I'm more surprised that they're atop the AFC North because based on what the Browns and Ravens have done, I kind of thought the Steelers would be in a muddle right now. This is the part of the schedule right now where we got to see the Steelers pick it up and pick up some wins here because you got the Browns on the road. That's going to be a tough game. They got kind of a mini bye. They might be able to heal up from all those injuries they had, but the Steelers coming off of a bye, traditionally slow with Ben Roethlisberger, so that scares me a little bit. I had that one as a coin toss on here, but you got the Bears and Lions.
Do you got any update on Mr. Mayfield? The last article I read said that that boy's beat.
Yeah, torn labrum or something. And he still wants to play.
He's whacked, yo. Well, but if he takes one more hit to that shoulder, that's the end of the season for that boy.
There's a quarterback controversy brewing already, and as silly as that sounds, because we've seen Case Keenum have success with other teams, and it's Cinderella at midnight. Everything turns into the pumpkin, and you got the glass slipper trying to find out where that guy went.
Yeah,
and he had a solid game. There wasn't a whole lot asked of him, and that offensive line's still legit, even though they're banged up. I think they were missing one of their tackles. They're missing both running backs with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Dearness Johnson gains over 100 yards, so. It's still a team to, it's not an automatic W on the schedule. It's something that you still have to be aware of. Now, defensively, the Browns have been giving up a whole lot of points, but let's get into that when we get some more pregame stuff. But the other teams on this schedule, you get some of the NFC North. You get the Bears and Lions, who I believe are both a mess. And then you got to go travel to the Chargers, and I don't know what their identity is. At first they looked, wow, this team is going to be a juggernaut, and then I don't know. You get a rematch with the Bengals in Cincinnati and then finally play the Ravens at home before Thursday night at the Vikings, and then it gets even tougher because you have the Titans who whooped up on the Chiefs. Who are the Chiefs? I don't know. You get them next, day after Christmas at Arrowhead. Browns at home, and then on the road for the Ravens to close out the season. So this little middle section here is where they definitely have to pick up some victories in order to stay in the playoff or the division hunt.
Oh, yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, look, they got to beat the teams they should beat, and they got to beat a couple teams that people aren't expecting them to beat. This is the clearly, I think, the biggest risk to Mike Tomlin never having a losing season is this season. So we will see. It's so
weird to say. He's got an extra game to maybe make up for it. But then again, can't be 8-8 this time.
Yeah, I mean, you figure by the time we get the Chiefs, maybe they'll have figured their poop out and get themselves back into a quality team. But I mean, perennial Super Bowl contender. What are they? 3-4?
I know the Patriots are. Let me jump back on this. 3-4. Same with the Broncos.
Close to the bottom of their division. And that's so. It's an upside. It's a crazy upside down world, man. Bengals are at first place. The Chiefs are next to last.
Yeah, Bengals are 5-2. Packers are 6-1. Raiders 5-2. Look at the record of the teams the Steelers have lost to, and they've lost to with some injuries, and we're making up, some excuses. I won't lie. I'm putting in some things there that maybe things might have been different in a couple of those games, all depending. But look at how good these teams are that they've been playing now, too. We said it was going to be a strong schedule at the beginning of the year. We said some of that's on paper. I just don't – it's another one of those years when we go back and look at it maybe in the summer or after the season, Brian, where everybody's complaining in season at the beginning, and then we take a look back and say, well, that team was a lot better than we expected them to be heading in during like off-season and training camp, and that's the reason the record ended up being the way the record was or the ebb and flow of the year. But with 7 playoff spots, I was thinking this too. It was like somebody asked how many AFC North teams could make the playoffs. And as I look around, I mean, it would be kind of tough. Chargers are 4-2. Like you said, there's 2, 3, and 4 teams there. The NFC East is garbage, or AFC East is garbage again. Well, the NFC East is garbage also to 3, 2, and 5 teams. But you got the 1-5 Jets, the 1-6 Dolphins once again, and you're like, not every team's going to make it out of the AFC North. It could be possible, but they're all going to beat each other, and that's going to affect their record, whereas someone like the Patriots or the Colts get to play the Jaguars and Texans twice this season. So that's where you're going to get to pad a little bit of that. So I was thinking, you got 3 wild card spots now, and then you have the 4 division winners. So mathematically, it could happen. I don't think it would ever happen just because of the way everything else shakes out.
Yeah, it's very unlikely. But you never know. I mean, I'm surprised. The Colts seem to be all over the place. I mean, a lot of these teams seem to be all over the place. The Titans look like world beaters against the Chiefs, and then they don't look good against another team. So, I just don't know. And the bottom line is, the team that we care about, the team that we're paying attention to, is going through all those exact same identity crises from week to week. They look much better, then they look not much better, then the defense looks great, then the defense doesn't look great. Hell, sometimes it's in the same game.
Truth.
It's so how this season shakes out. Look, I've said from the beginning of the season that this team is going to take time to gel. They're going to take time to grow. They're going to take time to get together and figure out how to play. I still anticipate them getting better as the season progresses. I'm not sure what I'm basing that on anymore, but I still expect it.
I think they have an opportunity, and let's not kid ourselves. If the Browns are banged up, JOK, when he got to go second round, and I was telling one of my buddies up there in Cleveland, and he was mad. They passed on him in the first round. They took Greg Newsome, the corner, instead, and that's worked out tremendously well. But he got banged up, and he's a big piece of that defense. But still, giving up a lot of points. Hold on, I'm gonna pull this up because I was thinking about this the other day. At first, they weren't doing too bad, or were they? Let's see, 33 to Kansas City. That's kind of expected. 21 to Houston with whoever's playing quarterback there. Tyrod Taylor got hurt in the middle of that game at Davis Mills. Now, they only gave up 6 to the Bears and 7 to the Vikings, but in the last 3 games, 47 to the Chargers, 37 to the Cardinals. And then, of course, Thursday night was 14 to the Denver Broncos, who had another comedy of errors themselves, and they have a lot of injuries, and they're trying to trade for linebackers and edge help and everything else. Their defense is just, they couldn't stop anything. He couldn't stop me and you right now, especially behind that Cleveland Browns offensive line. So I kind of weigh that maybe in the Steelers' favor too. But just looking at that, I mean, those are teams in the hunt. The Ravens, you still got Lamar Jackson. It's still somebody you have to contain. He's got that whole offense. That whole team's on his back. So it goes the way he goes. And when he gets stopped short, or they first force a turnover with him, or him to make a bad decision with the football, then it doesn't matter if he throws for 400 yards and rushes for another 300 or whatever in a game. So we'll see how that goes. Burrow, though, he's throwing 2 and 3 touchdowns every game. So it's another guy. That's why I said to watch out. You know what? Overall, what's your biggest surprise of this season so far? Because we'll get into individual players. This could be anything. This could be this could be a unit. This could be run game. Whatever. What, like, good or bad? Like, what really surprised you about this Steelers season? I mean, record doesn't surprise me. I think some people would more or less. Everybody thinks Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. At this juncture, I kind of felt 4-2, 3-3, 500 in the middle of the pack here. So I'm not surprised by that. I don't have a huge surprise with the schedule. I kind of have a surprise with how it got to this point in the schedule. Some of the results are a little more surprising than others, but I guess, to be quite honest, the biggest surprise, and not in a good way to me, is the offensive line. I expected more. But that's assuming that Zach Banner was going to come back and contribute. So there's certain, caveats to me expecting more here. But I really actually out of that side with Dotson and Moore, I expected that to be a running side of the ball, and it has not been that at all. I'm not overly surprised that Kendrick Green has had his struggles on and off. But at the same time, I just expected more gelling, more growth, more nastiness
out of that group. I expected them to be able to run consistently and not for Najee Harris to have to make up yards on his own. I expected there to be holes. I expected those things. So the biggest surprise to me is the fact that the offensive line has underperformed more so than I would have thought they would have. I'm disappointed with that. I'm an offensive line guy. So I looked at these guys. I thought there is potential there. I still believe there's potential there. But right now, man, you can't look at it and say, wow, that's a solid unit at anything right now.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest negative surprise.
Well,
And
I'm
I'll keep my positive one for later.
That's okay. I'm going to go with, and I wore it today. I got the different shirt. I don't know if I could fit it in the whole frame here, but Ben Roethlisberger is my surprise, good and bad here. But he paired up with Micah Tyler. If you're not familiar with, he's a music artist. They're partnering for the Light of Life rescue mission to provide meals to the homeless population in Pittsburgh. So for every one of these shirts sold, they're going to be donating to provide meals for people in need at the Light of Life rescue mission. So nice. This is something that if you go to, this is not sponsored. This was purchased. So donating to the cause here and just try to get maybe more word out. I know they were a little back ordered on these, as is everything in the world right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
But they're available at thedifferentshirt.com, and Pittsburgh-based Commonwealth Press is printing these. They're limited editions, so take a look for those. And I believe, do they have them also? Yeah, Ben Roethlisberger has them at BigBen7.com and Micah Tyler's website, which is MicahTyler.com, or even lightoflife.org if you want to find out more. Or just do different shirt Ben Roethlisberger. If you have to Google it like a simpleton like I did, then you'll find it very easily. But very, very good cause there. Unfortunately, my man, I thought maybe a little bit more out of him, too. I think the turnovers early on in this year, the mental clock in his head have been I'm not going to even say uncharacteristic. We've seen these, but I didn't think it would be a trend. And a lot of people are ragging and down on him. What I want to see is I want to see him be able to continue on through this season. And I don't expect him to be the Todd Haley era throwing for 5,000 yards guy, because he doesn't have the same arsenal of weapons, which is kind of disappointing in and of itself. I think Deontay Johnson has been a pleasant surprise. I think he's starting to ascend. We haven't had the drop issues that we saw last year. On the flip side, though, you're now without Juju Smith-Schuster, and I know you're shaking your head. Chase Claypool, he's got to show up. I don't know where he's been. Some sophomore slump
my
here.
guy last year, man. This is a big sophomore slump, and I couldn't pick on him because between the two, I was a little more disappointed in the offensive line. But yeah, Chase has not shown up.
No, not at all. I'm not surprised by Najee Harris or Pat Freiermuth when they get involved. And when they get involved, it looks like these are scoring drives. They got to get these young bucks moving a little more. And I think that's part of some of it is just being a rookie. These guys aren't as experienced, and they're usually more seasoned in their sophomore year in the league, as we know, particularly with running backs. So you can lean on them only so much, because I don't know that they're picking it up quickly, both of them. But I don't know that they're an every down reliable. Najee more than Pat at this point. I don't know why the team isn't leaning on Pat a little more, but we saw him get, I'm going to pull it up. What was it, like 7 targets or something in the last game? They were actually looking at him for a change, which had been a change. Yeah, 7 to 7, 758. Move the chains, stuff like that. But the offense has been overall, Brian, the inability to get to 20 points has been painful to watch. The 23 at Buffalo was by virtue of some special teams help. 17-10 and 17 isn't going to win you very many games against anyone in the NFL, particularly those 3 teams, the Raiders, Bengals, and Packers, and what their record is. And, of course, the Bills, you look at those first 4 games. We said the Broncos, that 3-0 start was a mirage, and I think we were right on that. They were able to get 27 against a team that wasn't too strong. Seattle fighting for their lives, a little more desperate, even with Geno Smith, Alex Collins, You saw the Seahawks put up a pretty good fight against the Saints too, who I don't think are a bad football team. They're at least average to above average in that pack. So I think there's still more to come. Let's see what they're going to do against the Cleveland Browns, Bears, Lions. But they got to start generating some points because, again, you go back to 2019, a defense can be lights out. Defense wins you championships, but you still got to score points somewhere.
Yeah.
And if the defense isn't doing the splash plays or creating the turnovers, and you're not as many 3-and-outs. So I'll say I still don't think it smells as bad as it did last year running the ball. There's still little lights at the end of the tunnel, little cracks and crevices where you see the light creep in. At least I feel that way. And they might get. We'll talk about some guys. We got to talk about some guys coming off injury here. But they got to keep this going. They got to be able to get there. But they're not like a 30-point per game team, and I don't ever see them being there this year.
No, yeah. This is a team. I mean, look, when they win, they're going to win because of turnovers. They're going to win because of special teams. They're going to win because of defense. The offense is not going to blow people out of anything, right? And there are caveats to all that in the sense like people are down on Minka, for example. People are down on Minka because he's not creating, and we got spoiled with Minka the first season. Right, all the magic happened the first season, and none of the magic has really been happening the last couple seasons. You're not getting that big play from Minka Fitzpatrick, but Minka's playing solid football, right? I mean, he's still playing well. It's just those magical kind of moments aren't occurring. Kind of been close at times, almost this, almost that. Maybe he's going to cause a fumble, maybe he's not. Maybe he's going to recover it, maybe he's not. It's just. It hasn't been the same, and people are a little down. I'm not down on Minka at all.
How can you maintain that?
You can't. It's
exactly.
Ridiculous. But, I mean, they played solidly. I will say that, I'm a little disappointed in the linebacker play. I don't, the people who are calling Devin Bush a bust, they're, I'm sorry. He's not a bust. He's not playing well right now altogether. Like, he's making mistakes. I've watched some of the games. He's not covering well. He's not tracking well. He's over pursuing. He's doing some of the things that Ryan Shazier did early in Ryan Shazier's career because he's so darn fast, right? And he'll get that under control. Again, same thing. It's not even that he didn't do some of this stuff in his rookie year, but there were those plays.
Yes.
Fumble recovery for a touchdown. Sack this. There were plays that made you go, woo! And the defense as a whole is not getting those plays for the most part. I mean, TJ's TJ. So, well, TJ's TJ, Cam is Cam. What do you want me to say?
Well, here, let's take those two guys. Well, here, hold those two for a second. Let me jump back to offense real quick. Anthony McFarland Jr. might be back. Zach Banner is already back to the 53. Does Zach Banner jump in for anyone? Does he jump in for Dan Moore? Chooks is all over the place. And I know. He had a decent game or two here. And then, I don't know. Like he put Von Miller in check, but I don't know if that's
he got away with a hell of a lot of holding on.
Well, and who
I'm
is?
just
going to
tell you
some of these games, man, and then some of the stuff. Don't get me started. The officiating. Does the officiating surprise you this year?
If the officiating ever surprises me, ever, it will be because they actually were good. So that'll never happen.
Yeah. There was a crazy Tony Corrente had that game with Baltimore and Cincinnati, and that was just painful enough. You're watching both of them because you're able to watch the Browns Thursday night, so it's like, okay, so both the AFC North teams are playing each other. I have a little vested interest in checking this out, and then it's just painful to watch him and that crew bumble around. But yeah, I'm wondering if McFarland, some of the things that they were working on in training camp and or Banner helps an uptick in this offense too. I'll leave it at that. TJ Watt, Cam Heyward. Grown-ass men.
Do
nice they shirt. Surprise you? Oh.
It's a nice shirt.
Do you like it? Yeah. I got one on.
It's not that I don't like it.
Uncensored.
I need it uncensored. And I'm going to tell you this. My wife had this idea, right? That is your design. It's very nice. I don't dislike the design. She said, we should create dual designs, put them up,
That's
and
fine.
then see who has the most sales, right? Which one of us is going to sell more shirts?
Oh,
the
geez.
problem is I am not a graphics designer, and therefore mine is going to suck.
Yeah,
So-
well, we've been using this scratch font. That came from the Mock Draft Insanity. That's what that was lifted from. So if anybody hasn't seen this, steelcityunderground.com/shop, and that will a little bit of a plug there for our own product.
Grown ass man.
Yeah, I've made it so it's a little it's censored. It doesn't actually say ass. It's got the two icons, the hypercloids or whatever you call them. And
my wife says that looks Steelers-ish, so that's why she likes it.
Well, the point is so you can wear it to at least somewhat. I'm not saying you're going to go. You can wear it to Applebee's or something. You know what I mean, and not have to worry about any repercussions. But you're not going to wear it to the white tablecloth restaurant. You're not going to Mount Washington for dinner with this stuff.
I wore a shirt that said "F you," and I don't mean the letters. I mean the bleep bleep. I wore that out.
But you're like the old guy that's on the grass, yelling, "Get off my lawn!" So, I mean, I could see.
I don't yell, "Get off my lawn." I never yell that. You know what I do? I go out and kick you.
I thought you were going to pull out the rifle, and you just hear.
Oh, I don't believe in guns. Guns are not my friends.
I don't want to tell a story. It's not a gun story. It's a samurai sword story. It's like one of the ninja blades you get from the flea market. You got one
back
of those.
there, 3 of them.
Yeah, and I was younger. I was in college, and I was over, when I was living at home back in the day, and there were some kids messing with something like the trash or something at night, and I came out with this thing on my back and just. And that got them running. They're a few years younger, and they're just like, "Man, that dude's crazy. Let's get the heck out of here."
I will admit, I have my samurai swords because of my crush on Michonne from The Walking Dead. So.
Okay. But nah, I was gonna say, do you have one that's autographed by Randy Jackson?
I don't even know who the hell that is.
Yeah, that's because it's a Step Brothers quote, man. You're just not gonna get Randy Jackson's autograph.
No.
We've done.
Which one? Was he that one idiot guy that I don't like?
Mm-hmm.
Is that who it is? Oh, we'll forget it. I won't.
That was a prerequisite to being a part of Steel City Underground. You must have been grandfathered in already.
I was.
Yeah, it's required viewing. The movie Step Brothers, by the way, for those who get the reference. Anyways, back from pop culture to. We're talking about grown-ass men. TJ surprised. Yeah, I'm not going to say TJ surprises me all the time. It's kind of hard to not be surprised. Or here's the thing. You've got an expectation for him to come through when you most need it, to be surprised. And then it comes through and you're like, oh yeah, of course, we expected that. You know what I mean? So it's like, but Cam Heyward being one of the top rated, if not, they've even had him, the Pro Football Focus Wizards have had him above Aaron Donald in their rankings here at multiple times throughout this season. If he's not still there, I don't have the stats, and if I did, they wouldn't permit me to say him anyways. They got all kind of crazy licensing. But Cam Heyward being that's surprising to me, being ranked higher than Aaron Donald. I think we've all felt he's always been in that territory and has never gotten the recognition. Now he's getting the recognition. Yeah. That's the surprise.
It is surprising when a guy look. I went, a couple weeks. What it was last week, whatever the hell it was. I don't know.
It wasn't the bye week.
Days have no meaning. Days have no meaning. I don't know. I work every day, so days have no meaning. I saw Aaron Smith, right? When I went and saw the Troy Palmo, I saw Aaron Smith there. And I've said this before. Aaron Smith is a Hall of Fame caliber defensive tackle that never, ever got the recognition he deserved. He was that damn good, all right? But because of LeBeau's defense and what he was required to do, he never got the kind of recognition that he honestly should have gotten. Cam is in that same look. Cam, in my mind, is the OG grown-ass man. We know this. But Cam is a Hall of Fame caliber player, right? And he has been for a while. The fact that he continues to get better at his craft as he ages is absurd. It's ridiculous. And he is dominating. Like, he just beats offensive linemen up. It's just it's a joy. It's a joy to me to watch. And again, I love my offensive line, but I also love my defensive line. And And Cam is it is a surprise that he's getting the recognition that he's getting, because for the most, well, I'm going to restate that. It isn't. You know why? He's making it necessary. He's not allowing himself to be ignored anymore. That's how dominating he is against other guys. You just think about that. In the Seahawks game, you get to a point and all of a sudden Cam just went, the hell with this. Same way with TJ. So you got two guys. If they ever get Stephon Tuitt back out there, not that Chris Wormley has played badly, because he hasn't. That's a minor surprise to me that he's played as well as he has.
I was going to bring his name up too.
But they get Stephon Tuitt back out there in that group. Oh, my goodness gracious. If he's even a shade of Stephon Tuitt of the past.
Highsmith is on the trajectory that I thought he would be on right now, too. I think
nice game against the Seahawks.
Yeah, he's at least he's collapsing the pocket and and the other guys might be getting it statistically done, but if you watch him enough, the penalties that he's drawing, holding calls from the offensive line, from the opponents, et cetera, et cetera. Cam was on Jim Rome, I think, call in or whatever. The guys over there are always sending me clips from that show, and one of them was, I think we shared it on social media if you want to go back and find it. It was like 2-3 weeks ago. Do you remember Jackie Slater by any chance? Offensive lineman, tackle that played for the Rams.
Yeah.
I was just looking him up. So he made a comment about he's not looking to stop playing anytime soon. And Jackie Slater's name came up. Jackie Slater played 20 seasons in the NFL from 1976 to 1995. He actually moved with the Rams from L.A. to St. Louis for the first year that they were in St. Louis before retiring. That dude was drafted in the third round of 1976 out of Jackson State, no less. 7 Pro Bowls, 4-time All-Pro, and he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. If you got longevity like that and you're playing at the level Cam is, the question was whether or not he's a Hall of Famer now. It's hard. People overlook sometimes both sides of the trenches, as well as specialists and some players like that. It's the players who get stats. You don't have stats really for these guys. So is Cam there? Because it's going to be, well, he didn't have sacks. Well, he plays in a 3-4. He's got a little bit different role. But he's had the sacks, and he's been a sack leader on the team. At this point, that's hard for me to say. But if he piles on, not only this year, but he has another year or two like this, there's no doubt about it. It's pretty much going to be when versus if. Yeah. So what you're saying, I'm totally on board with there. Let's see, Brian. Who else are we missing as far as any type of surprise? You've already mentioned Devin Bush, Joe Schobert.
I'll give you my other guy, Trey Norwood.
Yeah.
That's a nice surprise.
Yeah, for a 7th-round pick, right?
Yeah, for a 7th-round pick to be contributing in the way he is. Mm-hmm. The dude is making plays when he's been asked to make plays. I'm very, very pleasantly surprised by Trey Norwood.
The only thing I'll say about that is too many people blowing smoke over 15 snaps. I need to see him playing about 30 to 40 before we anoint him. But
I'm not saying that he is a contributor. That contributoriness. What the hell kind of word is to say
contributory?
Contributory. I don't know. Forget it. English sucks. Anyway.
This broadcast brought to you in Espanol.
Yes. The thing is, like, I'm fine with him playing the role he plays, right? But playing the role he's been asked to play and doing it well, doing it in a fashion where you are noticed and the plays are noticeable, that's a surprise for a 7th-round pick. Absolutely.
I have nothing else to say about the rest of the secondary. I mean, I thought James Pierre would be iffy like he has been. Cam Sutton hasn't necessarily given up big plays, nor is Joe Hayden. Joe Hayden,
little disappointed in Cam Sutton.
Really?
Little. Barely teeny bit. I expected some splash from him.
Oh, okay.
A little bit. And I'm not seeing. So,
well, he's been hurt, and then he's been.
That's why I said little.
Around
just
the
little.
Field. Yeah. Joe Hayden at his age, balling out. Not going
to complain about Joe.
Yeah, and people are still going to complain about. They would complain about Bush, and they complain about Terrell Edmonds. Terrell Edmonds is doing his job. Just knock it off.
Yeah.
I don't see any major faults in that. I think what's the problem is people don't realize the difference between man and zone defenses a lot of times, and I think the Steelers get beat more in zone. to be completely honest.
Most people get beat more in zone.
Well,
there are
true,
always hole in zone.
Yes.
Zone coverage means there's holes.
Yes.
There are places you can beat a zone. And if you're up against a quarterback who knows how to do it, you're done.
Why do you play zone when you have to have Robert Spillane on the field, James Pierre on the field, guys that can't match up man-to-man with some other physically gifted athletes? That's the way it goes. One more, Brian. Maybe 2 more. Maybe 3 more. Out of the 4. The specialists. Chris Boswell. Now all of a sudden everybody's like, wow, what a kicker. We tried to tell you. We thought he was hurt a couple of years ago. His brother came out and said something on Twitter, of course. And then our favorite punter, Harvin, he surprised me with a couple shanks.
Yeah, that's a bad surprise.
But
our big punter shanked the ball.
And then he surprises me by booting it like 65 yards. And then Ray McLeod, as we mentioned on the last show.
That's not the surprise.
What?
See, he should be booting at 65 yards. Yeah. He's got a leg and a half. He has a big booty.
He has
so he should be booting the ball heavily.
Dude, he looks like a Lego block.
He's humongous. I love our big fat punter.
I know.
I do.
The shanks
really bother me. I mean, the one against the Seahawks. Oh my goodness gracious, that was bad.
Ray has been. It's hard for me to have any expectation of any. Let
me say it this way: I think Ray has had his day.
I think you said that the last time too.
Yeah,
and that was funny, or laugh, or I don't know what you would.
I really want to be able to say Ray went all the way, but Ray ain't going all the way.
And it's cray.
Yeah, it's cray. Yeah. Okay.
All right, bonus question. Last one, I think, before we put a bow on our nonsense, our shenanigans. This is nonsense and shenanigans, too. Can we please stop talking about quarterbacks, wherever they come from? Deshaun Watson. Multiple teams may be interested in Deshaun Watson. Now, I don't think one of those teams is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
No.
And if it had anything to do... Okay, let's put it this way. If we're only talking on the field, yes, Deshaun Watson is a fine player, a quarterback worthy of the contract that he just signed. But there's all these other problems that are keeping him from playing football. So I'm not interested at all whatsoever. That just totally turns me off on the idea. Imagine this. As many people that say that Kevin Colbert, Mike Tomlin, and everybody else, the whole organization is stupid. They're a bunch of big dummies running around. Imagine if they gave up like 3 first-rounders for a guy that never ends up on the field. He gets suspended indefinitely or something. Like the biggest nonsense.
That's absolutely absurd. All right, let me. This is my quarterback take. I read, and I don't know why I wasted my time, but I did it. I read an article. I'm not going to call out the crappy organization that put it out, but I read an article.
We got enough of them we could guess.
I know that discussed why the Steelers were not going to draft a specific college quarterback in 2022 because he's had an off year. And I'm like, well, how the hell do you know what the Steelers are going to do in 2022 draft? You don't know where their picks are. You don't know anything. That's the most ridiculous speculation of all, because even if the kid has had an off year, if you thought he was a quality quarterback, but he's having a down season, why would you just jump off the train? You suck. Writer guy who wrote this, you suck.
There's too much of that. I mean, Watson, I'm tired of it.
Oh, look, I swear to God, it's like this. That guy threw what a beautiful pass. He's going to be a number 1 pick. Oh, an interception. He sucks.
Yeah. Well, the names that keep surfacing, it's like Kevin Colbert went, and of course, he goes and watches college football games, some of them in person. That's his job.
Yeah.
Everyone makes a big thing. Oh, he went to UNC, so Sam Howell, or people that like Desmond Ritter and everything that Cincinnati's doing right now in doing well and surprising people. Talk about Cincinnati, the town's like popping right now, football wise, both sides, man.
Yeah, I know. My alma mater.
And then I didn't know that.
I didn't graduate. I quit because I hated it, but I went to UC.
It's all right.
I majored in metallurgical engineering.
Oh, wow.
And despised it.
Was it the math?
No, I was on the dean's list. I went into the dean's office at the end of the season, at the end of my first year, right? I went for a year straight. End of my first year, I went in I was on a ROTC scholarship. I went into the dean's office. I said, I hate metallurgical engineering. I just sat in a metallurgy class where guys were talking about metal the way I talk about women. And it was frightening to me. I don't want to be in there anymore. They're like, ooh, tungsten, aluminum. Oh my God, aluminum. Like, oh my God, you guys are freaks. Anyway, nothing wrong with being a metallurgical engineer. It's fine. I just didn't want to do it. I wanted to be a computer engineer. So I said, I want to switch my major. And my dean was like, fine, no problem. And then I went to my Air Force sergeant. He goes, son, the Air Force wants you to be a metallurgist. And I went, well, the Air Force can kiss my butt. I quit.
Nice. Hey, I changed majors twice, so no shame in that, man. Finding what you want. Oh, the other guy, talking about hometown. So, well, your hometown wasn't Cincinnati, but anyway.
Hey, you live in my hometown.
Yeah, I do now. For Pittsburgh, University of Pittsburgh. I'm trying not to get off track here. Kenny Pickett, and he's having one hell of a season here. So he's completed 68.9% of his passes, over 2,200 yards, 23 touchdowns, and interception. What's that?
C.J. Stroud, 2023. C.J. Stroud, 2023.
Is he eligible? He's still going another couple years down the road.
2023.
Ohio State quarterback thing still isn't. Dude, it's still not holding up. As much as we're Buckeye fans.
Yeah, but that dude plays different.
Yeah, he does. He's not the same mold. It's the same thing I said about Haskins. Maybe he matures. That's the reason you would wait, too. See what you got on the roster right now.
2023.
Ben's not back. But it's just the nonsense of talking about this right now. There are people who truly believe that the Steelers will be in a position to draft one of these guys. And I hate to tell you, even if they miss the playoffs, it's probably going to be by a thin enough margin that unless like a Mac Jones falls in your lap like the Patriots had in the middle of the first round, all these guys are going in the top 5 picks. You're going to have another 3-4 quarterbacks taken again.
They're not. They're going to be in, they're going to be in the lower teens to the 20s. If that, right? If everything goes to pot, they're probably going to be there. They're not going to be a top 10 draft pick team next year. And then, this is what people should expect. I'm going to put this out there right now. People should expect Mason Rudolph to be the quarterback in 2022. And then at the end of that season, when my prophecy of he is not a starting quarterback in the NFL comes true, I'm telling you, then maybe they'll be a top 10 team. I look at 2022, and the problem is the defense is still going to be so damn good, it'll keep them in games. And they may be a mid-draft pick team for a couple more years. Remember how long it took us to get Ben.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll see. I'm not going to speculate. Mason conversation is for the off season. I think we have gone long enough. I'm just sick of. I get it. People are watching a college game, whatever's on prime time, or you have the big game. What was it, Pitt and Clemson, and everyone gets excited. Week. Yeah, what's that?
Big game this week.
Oh yeah,
Penn State.
Yeah, well, that was a crazy game too. 9 overtimes, man. Wow, that record with Illinois. So I'm sure Kendrick Green was happy sitting there watching that during the bye week. So that's fun. That's fun. Not fun for the Penn State fans. I know we get a lot of Pitt, Penn State, Ohio State, West Virginia guys, and that's where you get it too. Some people are still like, hey, this guy. There was some guy that was just dropped by the Seahawks. That was a terrible offensive tackle. He was terrible when he was with the Bengals. And there was somebody immediately, they must scour the transaction wire or see it from somewhere else. And immediately, let's sign this guy. No, stop. That's ridiculous. Brian, thanks for joining me, my friend. It's been fun. Little do you know, 2%ers, we didn't have a single note. We didn't talk about a single thing that we were going to talk about before this. Just two dudes talking football, sharpening our bye week skills.
This is the definitive proof episode that we are the most unprepared podcast in Steelers land. All right.
Anywhere.
But again, we have no notes. We haven't discussed this at all. But I'm going to put this out there because I hinted at it the other day. So what I have here, my friends, is a Quadzilla, Mr. Jeffrey, autographed full-size helmet with a bunch of inscriptions. You can see Quadzilla at the bottom, career points, all this nice stuff from Mr. Jeffrey, friend of the show, by the way.
Yes.
We've had him on. Joe likes him a lot. I like him a lot. He's a fun guy.
He was just partying with the Steeler gang at the Seahawks game. He was out there partying. It figures the game I don't make it to, then I still got to connect with Jeff. But try to connect with them at the Hall of Fame. He didn't come up this year. So
2%ers, we're going to give that helmet away. I don't know how yet. We're going to give that helmet away to somebody 2%ers. So if you're a 2%er and you want a chance to win the Jeff Reed helmet, give me an idea. Now, normally we do crazy crap, around the March. We've done the March of Dimes thing. People know the story about my daughter and all that stuff. But we're far off from the March of Dimes. So this is too soon for me to do a March of Dimes thing, right? Because that's not until next spring. But come up with an idea. We're going to give that helmet away. Just give us some ideas. We'll look in the comments.
You got me thinking already. But
yeah,
very generous of you, Brian. I'm going to have to figure out something too. Maybe we'll have a couple extra prizes depending on the participation here. So we'll figure it out.
I was debating. I was going to give away an Antonio Brown full size helmet too, but I figured nobody would want it.
Don't pull at my heartstrings here. It's still a very much love-hate relationship for a guy that was my dude, man. And let me down. He's got to heal some wounds. I mean, and he doesn't have the demeanor of a James Harrison where you didn't have.
Debo got the nice applause at the Seahawks game. Debo got the nice Debo chant.
I think you could relate and sympathize to. We didn't like it at the time, but you could look back on it and relate. I don't know how you relate to Antonio Brown.
Oh, no.
In the nonsense that went on there.
You have to be crazy. Then you're crazy, you can relate to crazy. Crazy knows crazy, right? So if you're cray-cray, you can relate to it, I guess. I'm not insane, therefore I don't understand.
Well, wait, what? I think you're crazy. All right, my friend, we are up against it. So thanks for joining me once again, or joining us once again, or thank you for joining me. His name's Brian. My name's Joe. Well, I was thanking everyone here. There's a little bit of thank you to everyone. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, comment, reply, favorite, share it. Share the show.
Share's good. Yeah.
Sharing is caring.
Sure.
And until next time, as we always do, we encourage everyone out there to be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.